Hello, everyone. We have Cindy today with us. And Cindy, in two sentences, what was your business idea and how does it help the world?
My business idea is to help leaders, usually in science, technology, and innovation, to crystallize, clarify, and have command of their messages and deliver them with confidence. How this helps the world: we are starved for clarity as audiences, trying to understand other people's innovations. And I built a pathway to help people do that. That's easy, step by step, and works.
Great. So, what was the moment when you went from the idea in your mind to that breakthrough? Okay, let's make it real.
Hmm.
At a moment, person, what was the trigger?
That's a great question. And Robert, I'm gonna talk about the innovation that I ended up creating. After I started On Point Communications, I created a messaging model, a framework. And here's exactly when I decided I needed to do that. I had been watching, by that time, hundreds of entrepreneurs, early stage founders pitch their storyline or try to investors. They were asking for capital.
Mhm.
And over and over and over again, the prevailing feeling in the audience of investors was they would raise their hands and they would sort of like wrinkled brow, right? Like, I don't totally understand the problem that your startup idea is trying to solve.
Mhm.
And you could really see the air just leave the soul of the speaker. And they were just missing the mark. So what I began to do is take pencil to paper and lean into my strengths as a rhetorician, someone who's really keyed into persuasion. And I'm thinking to myself, where are they missing this boat? What is the broken piece? And after many months and trying some new ideas, the how-to model was born. And then we began to test it with larger and larger groups and higher stakes. And
Mhm.
here we are today. Did I get to the answer?
Yes, and I'm so excited because I saw you published in private, not publicly yet,
Yes.
but an exciting news. So, can we go public with that?
We can. We would like to go public on Robert's show for the first time because this morning, just hours ago, I finally received the actual factual copy, the hard copy, or the physical copy of my new book. It's got a gray stripe so that I can't sell this version of it. But this is my book, Robert, that's launching in just 3 weeks. It's called Red Light, Green Light: How Top Leaders Present with Polish, Get Buy-in, and Become More Influential. And so really what this book will help leaders do all the way up and down the entire flagpole of innovation, it will help you get your leaders from the red light of risk to the green light of go. And so it's just a great handbook, step by step through the how to model. There's even photos of how the whole model began. There's pictures of me teaching it, and there's a model itself inside of it, and lots of stories of struggle, success from entrepreneurs just like your audience, looking for ways to find clarity. So
Excellent.
it's a big day. It's a big day
Yeah.
here at On Point, and I just can't wait to share it with the world. Yeah.
Great. So they said that the most important book is not the one you read, but the one you write.
Mm,
What do you say
yeah.
about that?
Um, well, I think that I would agree with that as far as the importance level, because I mean, I got to admit, I was nervous to open the Amazon Prime package this morning and to see it in the flesh. But I'll tell you what, I learned something really interesting while going through this writing process. With a speech, and when I get on a stage in front of an audience, I know about 90 to 95% of what I am probably going to say. Because, I've done this a lot. I have a similar approach, but I like to color outside the lines whenever I want to from the stage. And maybe I'll go with a person's story that I heard in the audience, or I'll have another cool idea or thought that I can fold into the mix. And I couldn't do that with the book because it's final, it's in print. And so I found myself having, frankly, some unexpected and unforeseen angst and anxiety around, am I sure that this paragraph, this chapter, this title, is where I want it? So it was a little bit first time, right? But I definitely am. I'm so excited. The book is fantastic for the people who are going to read it, who are looking to get their audiences to green lights. And I know the model works because I've seen it work for hundreds, probably thousands of people by this point in time, and it's got some punch. So it's going to be a solution to an existing problem.
Excellent. Can you share some tiny secrets from it?
Some secrets from the book? Probably the biggest.
Or from your framework.
Yeah. Well, the framework is really crazy simple to understand, but harder than some think to execute. Okay, so the name of the model is How To, and it's an acronym because when we're standing up in front of an audience, and let's imagine we're trying to share our idea, our innovation with them, and we want them to give us a $50,000 check. For example, if you're an early stage startup, $100,000 is going to get you off to some exciting goals. When you're standing on the stage and you're imagining your audience of stakeholders in the audience, we want to really live inside of their mindset and their brains, our audiences, and they're kind of like they've got these little bubbles above their heads, and they're asking the speaker, hook me, H, get my attention, help me understand, get my attention and keep it. The letter O is orient me to what problem we're solving and for whom. Like, where are the people in pain when it comes to the solution that you're bringing to market? But and that's the letter that most people are not good at. Okay. That first O is really the entire reason I built the whole model. Okay. So we have hook me, orient me. The W in the How To model stands for win me. Win me over. Okay, I know the problem. Win me over. Introduce your solution and tell me how it works. Can I touch it, feel it? How does it work? Okay. The letter T stands for tell me more, which just means what it sounds like. Take me deeper. That's all the data, the heady stuff. That's the proof that it works. Okay. And the final letter is O for a second O, which is offer me. In other words, your ask. Offer me, your audience member, something to do. So those are the 5 letters: hook me, orient me, win me, tell me more, and offer me. And most people get that. They're like, yeah, that makes total sense, Cindy. I can do that. And then it's really the exercise of deciding what part of your content belongs in each of those letters. How much is too much? So that's definitely one area. The other thing I've learned recently that's been very interesting to me, Robert, is that for a lot of leaders, storytelling feels scary. The word story feels loaded, as if they are expected to be some kind of Walt Disney World, Steve Jobs storyteller. So I have found myself working with high-level leaders in Fortune 250 companies in the C-suite even, who are reticent, nervous about like what storytelling really means, even though they know they need to get better at it. And so I see them, story can be short, sweet, to the point, but it's got to get us at the heart level. And that's the difference between story and facts.
Excellent. So I know you have coaches because we were together in some group.
Yeah.
And I have one advice that is the most important for me. and that was your first 100 videos will suck.
That's fantastic. Your first 100 videos will suck. Okay. Are we 101 today on this one?
No, not yet. But this is like podcast. I don't think about this as
Yeah.
video, so
Yeah.
it's
No, I'm
different.
kidding.
But what was the best advice, or perhaps even some worse ones from your coaches,
From the coaches?
or whoever?
Yeah. From people who have advised me in the past. Some of the best advice. Oh, wow. You're putting me on the spot. I'm trying to think. This one will be familiar to you, Robert. Nothing good happens outside of a conversation, is a piece of advice I've gotten. And that just means that in the world of work, when we are communicating so rapidly, email is tone deaf. We can't understand or hear the meaning or the come from, when someone says, sends an email. And so getting on a phone call to make sure that you're clearly communicating intention, tone, and feeling, that's been a huge one for me. And when it comes to something one of my mentors taught me way long ago, it's just like, maybe you don't need to know all of the answers, Cindy, to solving this problem, but just take a few steps forward toward what you think is right, and then keep going another step at a time, and the answers will be made known to you, not from a magician or anything, but like you'll figure it out. I was a really big proponent of I go before I'm ready in most of my business life. I will try out something new and iterate and take it to my small market of people. And I like to fiddle with stuff. I like to fiddle with messages. I'm not a car mechanic, but I'm a message mechanic. So, yeah.
Excellent. What surprised you most in the business that wasn't like you expected to be?
Everything. The whole business itself really was a surprise, and I'm totally serious. When I started On Point Communications 10 years ago, I never intended to start a business of my own. Never. I was out looking for part-time jobs. We have 4 kids. At the time, 10 years ago, they ranged in age from 6 to 12. And now they're 16 to 22. But yeah, I really fell backwards into this whole endeavor. So I went to lunch with a woman who does presentation skills coaching. And I thought, wow, that sounds really interesting because of my background in rhetoric, and I taught public speaking. But I took all these years off, to have our kids and raise them while they were young. And that's been a surprise too, just seeing that I can be a mom and a business woman who runs a successful business. And I chose not to do those things at the same time. And it's been just pure joy to see this business become what it has, because like I had no goals about what I wanted it to be. I was sort of like told, hey, Cindy, you should do this. That woman I met for coffee, she asked me to coach her on her TEDx talk. And that was my the first thing I ever did for a coaching client, was even before I had a name of a company or a place to write a check. So that was my biggest surprise, was just getting it all started. And then surviving the pandemic was a big thing too. I was able to survive that as well. So I'm sure you've had some surprises in your world as well, Robert, right?
Oh yes, of course. Let me ask you this. Most of the people get into the entrepreneurship because they think they will work more, they will get freedom, they will, I don't know, get a lot of money. What do you think you get from this? And does it ever get easier?
Maybe my nonverbal communication is giving you an answer, right? Does it ever get easier? there are some things that are probably easier, but it's what do I get from being an entrepreneur? My own decision-making freedom.
Mhm.
I get to build what I want to build, and I get to listen to my stakeholders as my clients and such, to build what I believe they need. It's been challenging without question, and I've had many moments of wonder and doubt, and I almost stopped the whole business in the pandemic, and then I went looking for full-time jobs at that point. And I really believe in listening to like the events of what's happening around us to see
Mhm.
what doors are opening and what doors are closing. So when we listen to people and things that are happening, that's kind of why I didn't throw in the towel. I tried to quit. I really did. I went out looking for other six-figure jobs that would be easier, I thought. And then my work started to pick up in some interesting ways, so much so that I didn't have time to look for a job anymore. And I thought,
Mhm.
well, this is a sign. I feel like this is something I should pay attention to, just this turn of events. And so, you know, that's one of the pieces that's kept everything really fresh, and it's always a new day in entrepreneurship. So yeah.
Well, I think because I ask almost everyone, does it ever get easier? And usually everybody says no. And I think that's not because it couldn't, but because we are such kind of people that we don't want to. We enjoy what
Yeah.
we are doing.
Yeah. Okay. I would like to push to see what's the next level. I think the part that has gotten easier is just, LinkedIn is such an amazing network of
Mhm.
human beings. And
Mhm.
without LinkedIn, I would not have the business that I have.
Mhm.
And so what has gotten easier has, I'm really proud of building a great network of human beings that I can reach out to, just like you, Robert, and that I have been able to meet and learn from. And so I have this just gratitude for the open mindedness that I have learned to cultivate over the years. And that's been a huge lesson. This is kind of a cool, quick story. It reminds me of when I first started On Point. I grew up with a family where I was the youngest girl. I had two older brothers. So there was like a healthy and fun competitiveness when I was growing up. We like to win. And so when I came on the scene here in Fort Collins, one of my first meetings was at a 1 Million Cups meeting where people do presentations. And the woman who was running the meeting, she does presentation skills coaching. This is a different person than the other one. Her name's Jana. And I thought, oh man, she's not going to like me. She's going to think I'm coming in onto her territory. And then, like, she's going to maybe snub me. I was just expecting kind of the worst. And, she taught me the most important lesson, Robert. She came up to me after the end of that meeting and shook my hand and said, Cindy, it's so nice to meet you. Welcome to the community. And there's enough business out here for everyone. And that completely changed my mindset.
Mhm.
And I have always paid that attitude forward. And
Mhm.
it's been it was a gift to have that encounter. And I always meet other coaches who do similar work that I do. And I say, I'm so glad there are other people out there like me helping the world get better at this skill that is hard for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So
Uh,
it's been good.
I think one of the biggest changes in the life, if you are an entrepreneur, is that you rely on yourself. You don't rely on government or somebody else, and you get that resilience.
Mhm.
Would you advise your children to go the same path?
Yes. I would. I really would. And we are a unique family because my husband and I are both entrepreneurs. Neither one of us have ever in our married life worked for the man. And my husband is a successful business owner as a clinical psychologist. He started his own clinic, And of course, I've done On Point now for 10 years. I think our kids kind of already are entrepreneurs, a couple of them. One of my daughters sells her art. She has a little business of her own. I think there's such a beauty in the creativity that's afforded to a child or young adult. That's not to say it's bad or wrong to work for a corporate environment, because there's plenty of great lessons I bring from my days in corporate when I was younger. But I think I want our kids to know, and I think they're watching this unfold, like anything is possible. And, if you can, sorry to be cliche, but if you can dream it, you can achieve it, especially with the right people around you. I fall on my face plenty of times, Robert, but it's all about not how many times you fall, it's how many times you pick yourself up and keep going and find somebody to be your cheerleader. Because it's hard. It's not an easy path.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have maybe done it if I knew how hard it was, but that's kind of the brilliance and the idiocy of being an entrepreneur, right? So, yeah.
You have to be special.
Yes, we're special. Yeah, we're special.
So what would you say is the most common mistake entrepreneurs did at the beginning?
Hands down, I got that one easy. Well, entrepreneurs. Oh, I was thinking of speakers, like who are.
Okay, you can talk about.
Yeah,
speakers.
let me go with my answer to that one, and then I can go the other way too. But hands down, the biggest mistake speakers make when they're addressing an audience is that they spent way too much time creating the content in their own head instead of sitting in the head of their audience members. So, especially with techie people, they get in front of a crowd and this is true for any leader in any industry. There's a little bit of like, I got to prove that I know this when we're delivering a message to an audience. And I have to break that barrier for them and say, no, like we all believe that you are an expert and that you know your stuff. You need to get out of your head over here and go sit in the head of your audience and say, where is my audience member in relationship to my idea? Do they have any idea what I'm about to talk about? Do they have a mid-level understanding? Or are they experts like me and I can really go, take them quickly forward? We have to meet them where they are, not where we want to start or not where we think they are. And we, constantly, that's the solution that we fix for people. Because it's just natural. We have all this knowledge and we want to share it, but it doesn't land. It's not going to land unless we think about where our audience is starting. And then we can really nail it if we do that well.
That's great. Because I started as a high school teacher. And I found out that I can only teach them what they almost know.
Oh, I love that. Yes. Yeah. Robert, remind me what subject matter you taught primarily.
Mathematics, electrotechnics, physics.
Oh my gosh. Yes. That's fantastic. So my daughter's at the University of Florida and she loves math and science, math and physics, which is like not my zone, obviously, but full respect for people who are experts in those areas. And we need those. I work with those people because it's fun to learn from them. So it's fantastic.
Yeah, but they are usually not good storytellers.
Right. Because they're so good at other things. And now it's time to figure out, how do we communicate your brilliance? Because you're brilliant at some really amazing things, but we want to communicate that to people who can put it into action. And that's where entrepreneurs, you said, what are some mistakes or pitfalls they could skip over? I would say, like, if you're just getting started in a business venture or you're curious about moving into entrepreneurship, have a lot of coffee with a lot of people and just listen deeply and intently for a while to get the pulse on the industry you want to enter, and make a lot of connections. Don't burn any bridges, and say yes to those early meetings. I cannot tell you how many times I thought, I don't really think this is going to lead to anything. And then it changed my world. It's crazy. Have you had that too?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I had a challenge. I wanted to talk to 100 CEOs from UK and America at the
Okay.
end of 2024 in 4 months,
Oh my
and
gosh.
I uh, I, I didn't make it.
Yeah.
But I talked to 67, and at the beginning it was, what do I have to do that? I was scared. I
Sure.
don't know everything, and
Yeah.
later on, when we developed some great connections, and I had some clients, I connected some people who needed something from the others, and it was really great.
That's
So.
amazing.
When you become familiar and free with communication,
Yeah.
it's so much easier.
Yes. Yes.
And we are like that when we are children. We don't have these stops,
Yes.
but when we grow up, you have a lot of things in your
Yeah.
mind that stops you with no reason.
Right. Right. Children are they're not inhibited by much, and they have a beautiful way of seeing the world. If we could be more like children as adults,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, we should be.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great. Oh, wonderful.
So, if you'd be, I don't know, 20 years younger, what would you give yourself as advice? Would you do something different? Or
Oh,
10 years when you started on
yeah.
point?
You know, um, it's interesting because I don't have a lot of regrets about the way I built on point in any, I don't say anything, there's nothing specific that I regret. What I would say, I wish I had a bigger dose of confidence um, earlier on, but I mean, like, that's just life, you have to grow into. There were a few points where people were telling me stuff like, this is really specialized stuff that you're doing, Cindy. Like, not a lot. And so having people reflect to you what they see in you is a really beautiful gift that we can give others and that we can receive. And those are the moments when I was given kind of that shot of courage to say, oh, well, great. I guess I can, and I still we all still struggle with confidence in some areas of life. I mean, I'm about to put my whole life's work out on the market, and it's like, is everybody going to think it's as great as I think it is? It's a scary thing to do, to put your whole life's work into a
Mhm,
book.
mhm.
And so I'm feeling great, and yet, of course, when launch day comes, call me back and I'll tell you where my confidence is, right? But like, we're all human and we all need the support of each other, I guess.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so
We can achieve so much more if you are
yeah,
in the community
yes,
and support each other.
yes,
Uh,
absolutely.
so, if I would want your services, how
Yeah,
do I reach you, and
absolutely.
how do you work, and how much
Mhm.
would be my investment, and
Yeah.
in time and money, and
Yeah.
how does it
Oh, it's a
work?
good question. I love that. Thank you so much, Robert. Well, the fastest way to get to me is either through LinkedIn with my name, Cindy Skalicky, or you can go to my website, which is onpoint-communications.com. And there's a really valuable free training on the homepage of the website. It's in an orange square and it says watch free training. That is a 45-minute free session on what we teach when it comes to rehearsing a message. It's called the rehearsal trifecta. And it's about how to practice, rehearse, and visualize so that you're nailing it on the stage. And just
Mhm.
a month ago or so, I had a woman who was needed to learn quickly how to rehearse. She watched that video and she said, Cindy, I did everything you said to do in that video. And I was like, you did? And then she completely nailed it. So it was amazing. So that's a free piece that people can try out, see if they like us. And to answer the other question around breadth and depth, we have online courses that are really reasonably priced in the one to one, $100 to $1,000 range. And then private coaching is an option, which is obviously a little bit more of an investment. And then the time that you're with us really depends on the goals you have and the dollars you are ready to invest in your growth. But we've worked with some people for 100 days. We have like a 100-day plan. And then I'm with one, a couple people, and one in particular, she's been with us 2 years, and we're just continuing to help her grow and achieve that next level for herself. So it just depends. Sorry to be that same answer, but it just depends.
It's okay. It's okay. Yeah. So you meet us at every level we need.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, and we have a team of coaches who can assist in some other areas when needed. And I would love to just get on first step is always a quick phone call to get to know each other a bit so I can hear what they want to work on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you, Robert.
Great.
Yes.
So we're about the end. Would you give some final thoughts?
My final thoughts are just to have confidence and try new things and surround yourself with great people, positive people. And every single person listening and watching, you have a certain gift that you've been given. And it is our job to unpack our gifts and share them with the world. And so whatever your zone of brilliance is, go forward with courage and confidence, because only you can do that gift that way. Not everybody can see the world like you do and do things the way you do. And your story is worth telling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
Like the other communication coach said, there's plenty of work for everyone.
That's right. There's plenty for everybody. Absolutely. Thank you
for being my guest.
You're welcome. Thank you, Robert. Have a great day. Bye-bye.